everyone, my group decided to do a presentation based off of the Walt Disney Company. We all know how important strategy is in the workplace. Sometimes companies just need to take a step back and reevaluate some of their external and internal factors so that they can either maintain their current strategies or develop new ones so they can achieve greater success within their company or organization. So our group members consist of Kimberly, Jessica, Melanie, and Morgan. The reason we selected Walt Disney Company in particular is because it is the number one. It is number one in the entertainment industry. Everyone has heard of the Disney brand in some way, shape, or form, whether it be from the Disney parks, Disney resorts, Disney TV networks, or of course our favorite beloved Disney movies. So, and recently it acquired different film companies. So we just decided this was a great company to delve into and see what it can do to further some of its main strategies here.
Disney's current mission is to entertain, inform, and inspire people around the globe through the power of unparalleled storytelling, reflecting the iconic brands, creative minds, and innovative technologies that make art the world's premier entertainment company. Upon some research, I found an older one for the whole corporate as well, in which they indicated using our portfolio brands to differentiate our content, services, and consumer products. We seek to develop the most creative, innovative, and profitable entertainment experiences and related products in the world. This tells us that there's a few factors they focus on first: content, services, and consumer products, to develop the most creative, innovative, and more profitable way of entertainment, as well as giving that entertainment experience and related products in the world. Their vision statement is to be one of the world's leading producers and providers of entertainment and information for groups. From what my experience is and from research, customer groups that they target is obviously small children, tweens with our preteens and teens, adults, and overall families. How do they do that? Use animated movies, channels such as Playhouse Disney and Toys, Disney Channel, Radio Disney, live action films, and of course Disney theme parks and resorts. Apparent that Walt Disney uses multi-segment targeting strategy, from media networks, parks, experience and products, studio entertainment, and direct-to-consumer international. You can see the wide range of products and variety that they use. They just recently acquired ABC. They have networks such as ESPN, National Geographic, Disneyland, Disney Resorts, and so much more that targeted all families, all ages, no matter the cultural background. But if you aim only for kids, adults are only kids grown up anyway. That is the same from Walt Disney, and which holds true to today, as they have been successful in catering to all demographics, all ages, and all families. We fulfill a lot of customer needs by using apps such as My Magic Plus, which is a vacation planning system that makes it easier for families to book rides and restaurants in advance, so that way they have their itineraries planned and it makes their whole vacation process smooth. One cool thing I realized is that in Disneyland or Disney World, they have touch points within the park, and they actually, as families are passing, they use the mobile app technology to sync with their technology, and they display names with simple catchphrases saying it's a small world, with families' names, as well as photos of the rides, of the pictures that were taken in the rides, which also automatically syncs into their app. That'll pop up with a notification asking if they would like to purchase. It's a great marquee theme. It makes it easy and smooth for families to say, oh yes, you know what, let's take this picture, let's print it out for memories. They actively engage in Twitter and also participate in giveaways for those proactive consumers that have those genuine concerns and complaints, or even new ideas. Another cool feature that they have, technological, is a chip system, which pretty much is for park guests to find those favorite characters, so that way they are able to take pictures with them, greet them, and enjoy their time with their kids. It is apparent, through everything that they do, that they actively engage. They genuinely care about the family and experience, as they offer a variety of shows, of live streaming, of radio channels, and both internationally and domestically. One of the key focuses for them, again, is multi-segment targeting strategy, which, again, is to appeal to all ages. And it's very apparent that through the mission and vision statements that they care about the world, having the leading producers and providers. They're all about entertainment and information, content, services, consumer products around the world, which has led them to great success today and for many, many years to come.
So now we're just going to evaluate some of the internal and external factors within the company. Here I've developed a SWOT analysis to just kind of give a breakdown of each particular segment, whether it be internal or external. Please note this SWOT analysis that we have right here is more geared towards our internal and external matrix audits, which we will do here shortly. We also have another SWOT analysis for the presentation, but that does highlight some other key factors that we'll use for some of our strategies. So let's just begin with some of the internal factors within the company. Obviously, everywhere we go, the Disney image is very strong. It is a very popular brand. They have a presence in, internationally. They've got theme parks in Japan and Paris, and they're very diversified. So that does help. Everywhere you go, whether it be a movie, a theme park, resort, a product like a toy, you name it, Disney has it. Something that's pretty interesting is there's a strong management leadership team within the company, obviously, because something the employees have noticed is that they all able to form a really strong bond with the company, and that's something that they do enjoy. The team is very cohesive, and most importantly, they're passionate about what they do. They want to give customers an experience, not just, they want to treat it like a job, but, something where they enjoy coming to every day and wanting to make people happy. A leadership team that's able to inspire their workers and bring that side out of them. Obviously, they've been very successful with that. Something really important to note about Disney's recent acquisition of Marvel and Lucasfilms, which we of course all know includes the superhero realm and the Star Wars world. So they've already incorporated that into some of their theme parks and plans for future films. So they are taking advantage of that to create more entertainment for everybody. Key factor here, one of the bigger strengths, is that for the past year, 2018, they did generate a revenue of $59.43 billion, which is quite exceptional, and which this is really good to hear to the next point. They're a very diversified company. They have their movies, consumer products, resorts, theme parks. It's no wonder why they're so successful. They're getting revenue from multiple outlets. And then, of course, something to date here, they just had a recent theme park expansion. They recently acquired Avatar World and Toy Story Land, and they're working on future plans for expanding our Star Wars park. So those are some strengths. Some weaknesses, the more obvious one here is cost of products and services are a little bit more pricey than the competition. Able to get into Mad Kingdom for a day is close to $150 compared to some of the other theme park resorts are more leaning towards the $60 to $80 range. So that is a little bit of a knockdown for Disney. The long wait times for activities, those definitely play a part here, and the certain day consumers might choose to come on, whether it be food lines, retail lines, or just lines to go on the rides. This next point, lack of innovation for new films. To date, instead of building on different classic stories, of course you got your classics, Little Mermaid, Lion King, Beauty and the Beast, and throughout the years they've developed, different takes on certain themes, but lately they've just more been replicating or recycling old movies, and there really hasn't been a lot of new content, so it could actually cause them to maybe lose a little bit of popularity. Disney's known for its content innovation, so we'll see what it has up its sleeve for the rest of the year and upcoming 2020. Another point is it had a limited target audience. Most of what it does gear towards a younger crowd, but of course we've got our baby boomers and our millennials, who are a little bit on the older side. Disney struggled a little bit learning how to cater to those specific groups. After all those other groups bring their children to parks, and in order for them to be having a good time, Disney needs to find some way to incorporate other activities in there. And then the Disney is not utilizing the online realm as much as it could be. Right now, mobile phones usage is on the rise, and Disney isn't really too active as far as that goes. They're more about in the personal feel, which I understand completely. But always we're taking off, Instagram and Facebook might be ways to go for them to, reach out to different crowds. The last point here is that it has been noted that there's staff that, leave to locate crazy work hours. There are different, hours that Disney's able to schedule in the park, and sometimes workers might have to stay a little bit later into the night, depending on the day. It's always nice out, though. There's always some kind of event going on. It's very sporadic. I know for 2021, Disney's looking to increase the pay for their workers to $15 per hour. This is probably going to alter things when it comes to finances, so stay tuned for that. Now just encounter some of our external factors here. So some of the opportunities Disney has, there has been a 3.4% increase in retail consumer spending since last year, which allows companies the opportunity to acquire new customers and increase market share. Customers have more spending power, they're going to be more likely to go out and enjoy leisure activities and spend more money possibly in retail. Also, there has been an increase in social media story usage. I haven't really seen Disney utilizing much of that, but if they did, people love just seeing little snippets, whether it be videos or sometimes people post links where you can swipe up and view upcoming events. That is a great way to target younger audiences, especially millennials and the Gen. There has been an increase in travel and tourism sector, so that's something that's great for Disney, especially with their theme parks and resorts. Just maybe finding different ways for them to bring more guests into the parks. There has been an increase in cultural diversity. Lately, Disney has been working on that. Whether it be incorporating different cultures within their films. I know Moana. That's been a little bit of an integration of a different culture, and just within the park, they've got different people from different countries who speak different languages. Obviously, Disney has used a global strategy to try to attract people from everywhere, and they want everyone to have the best experiences. So they do have people working there from different countries. There has been increasing support for sustainability and conservation. Disney has been jumping on that, especially with their Animal Kingdom resort. So much a percentage of the profit that they do bring in goes towards conservation funds. And last but not least, there's been an increase in mobile phone and streaming usage. Obviously, everybody has, majority of the population having used phones every single day, and they like to stream. So Disney has been looking into some kind of service that could potentially compete with Netflix and Hulu. So we'll stay tuned for that. As far as external factors go with threats, there have been constant changes in exchange rates for foreign currencies. So any of their suppliers, their rates might get a little bit pricey for that, and demand for products from other countries might also decrease if our rate becomes too high over by us. There's a more mature market, as I mentioned earlier, so there's baby boomers and millennials. It's looking a little bit more difficult to try to cater to those groups. Obviously, alcohol and just different adult socialized events, those are what draw people in, and Disney's trying to find a way to make things family friendly while also be able to make it an enjoyable experience for everybody. Something to keep in mind here is that sporadic weather conditions really do affect the number of people that come to the parks on a regular basis. If there's been extreme heat, rainy seasons, hurricanes, those parks shut down, there's no revenue coming for those days. Another threat is ease of visual content privacy. Obviously, it's becoming a lot easier for people to illegally copy different movies. And the quality isn't necessarily always the best, but Disney does have to worry about that. Could be losing some, a potential positive profit on there. Another threat, growth of multi-channel video programming network distributors has increased competitive pressure. And last but not least, Universal Studios' new theme lands can potentially take away customers from Disney parks. Harry Potter is one of the big ones right now. Whenever people come to Orlando, they have to decide, okay, do we want to do Universal or Disney? And a lot of that might be into price and also just general entertainment for the day. So this is just something to consider, and now we're going to get into our internal and external matrices. So these are internal and external, example of an internal and external audit for Walt Disney. Now we're just going to examine some of our external factors a little bit more closely. What we have right here is an external factor matrix. So the ratings that you see go from 1 to 4, 1 being poor, 2 being average, 3 being above average, and 4 being superior. Overall, I would say that Walt Disney is doing a fantastic job with maximizing its opportunities and minimizing its threats. They're pretty much above average or superior in many areas. And then, of course, you've got the threats. Unfortunately, some of the bigger threats, changes for exchange rates, or changes in exchange rates, and then sporadic weather conditions, visual content privacy. Some of those, it's just a little bit too difficult to control, unfortunately. You can't control the weather. You can't really plan for that. You can have an umbrella over the theme parks. It just doesn't work that way. I suppose the biggest thing maybe is just having, for days where there's extreme heat or just, flat out rainy seasons, offering a lot of sheltered areas for people to still be able to do activities and have fun throughout the day in the event that does happen. Hurricanes are a little bit more difficult to plan for. As far as exchange rates go, just trying to stay on top of the economy as much as possible. If there is if the company is anticipating that the exchange rate is going to increase for other countries, perhaps we can, develop other strategies for getting supplies from other countries elsewhere where the rate's a little bit lower. Overall, I would say that they're doing pretty good though. Even though, mature market, there's more of a mature market, it seems that Disney's pretty family oriented, so it is doing a pretty good job of catering to those older adults. So that is our external factor matrix. Pretty much a company that has a score over 3 is doing a pretty fine job with maintaining these factors. So kudos to Disney for that. Next, we're going to get into our competitive profile matrix. This is just a little glimpse of what the competition is like. Obviously, Disney has different segments that compete with. For this, I just took the segment for the theme parks. That's probably one of the more prominent areas right now. Universal, which is, of course, owned Comcast, and Carnival Cruise. Those are some of the competing forces right now in that realm. Overall, Disney's doing very good when it compares to its competition. I would say that the biggest thing here is it's doing an excellent job as far as service goes, catering to different crowds. The other two, competitors are doing relatively well too, but you just hear of Disney as, being able to provide the ultimate family experience for any particular segment. When it comes to market share, Disney is totally owning it. Disney owns more of a market share than Comcast and Carnival Corp. Carnival Corp has a little bit more actually than Comcast, which surprised me in that aspect. But right now the financial position of Disney's doing pretty well when it comes to that. We'll just get into, as far as income growth goes, Disney went up 62.9% increase from last year. Comcast went up 54.6%, and Carnival Corp actually went down 60.35% as far as their revenue goes. So again, kudos to Disney for being able to maintain that. As far as market share goes, Disney owns 25.09%, Comcast has 4.7%, and then Carnival has 20.09%. I just thought that was very interesting. So, overall, Disney's doing a fantastic job against its competitors. So, I would say Universal is probably the biggest contender right now, but obviously Disney has proven to be very successful despite, its many new, that's produced throughout the years. So, we'll see in coming years how everything pans out, but Disney's been great as far as the innovative realm goes. And then our last part of the internal-external factor analysis, we're going to dive right here into the internal factor valuation matrix. So right now this is just kind of a nice layout of strengths and weaknesses. Again, our ratings here, 1 being poor, 2 being average, 3 being above average, and 4 being superior. Each score is weighted. Overall, Disney is doing a pretty good job of maximizing its strengths, minimizing its weaknesses. The score here is a little bit lower than that of the external matrix, but a lot of that, we're just gonna kind of look here at some of the weaknesses. I'd say the biggest weakness is definitely the cost of products and services. They're a lot more pricier than competitors. A lot of theme parks you enter right between $60 to $80. A theme park pass for Magic Kingdom costs about $150, depending on the day. I think that something that Disney could maybe focus on is just lowering the cost of their theme park prices. Not only that attract more people, but it'd be more opportunity for profit. People are spending, more people get into the park, you'd get more people spending money on food, retail items, and different excursions throughout the park. So I think just more profitability all around by lowering some of those rates. I don't think that Disney would really be taking a major hit on that. Maybe instead of $150, they could do $100. And some of the parks that are $100, maybe they could cut back to $80. Or just offer free parking. It's a way to attract more people. For the most part, I think Disney could definitely increase online presence, by making use of those Facebook stories, Instagram stories. Everyone seems to, social media is the thing nowadays, so, Disney could really cater to the millennials and younger generations by posting different events and promotions on those different outlets. And then another week to really go into here is just the staff. Obviously in 2021, thanks to unions that are pushing for a minimum wage increase, they are increasing the minimum wage to $15, but kind of see how that affects everybody come that time. Obviously, prices now are going to be a lot different and mean different things 3 years from now. So we'll see how that plays out, but I think right now the thing for Disney to do is just watch its pricing and be able to, you know, you have more of an online presence. So that is our internal factor evaluation matrix. Again, Disney's doing pretty well overall, just by strategizing. So this is a good thing.
This is Melanie Walker, and I will be taking you through part 3, and that is the analytical tools portion of our presentation. And for your consideration, I will give you 3 separate charts or displays. We'll start off by the product positioning map for Walt Disney, then we'll move to the SWOT analysis, and finally we'll wrap it up with the quantitative strategic planning tool. And that we'll explore a little more on. It has a lot of data on it, and it's actually quite informative. So we'll start first with the product positioning map, as you see here. I've displayed 4 different companies, including Walt Disney, and 3 of their top competitors as far as parks go. In the red, we're exploring high brand recognition. Directly below that in yellow is low brand recognition. And to the left is the best customer service, and to the right is worst customer service. Now, Disney is notorious for the Disney way, which is above and beyond the best customer service. They do have quite a few programs. They have a university. People and companies, I should say, do take on this concept, this theory for how to provide world-class service. And so it's no surprise that Walt Disney Company is in the upper left corner in the high brand recognition and best customer service quadrant. Directly below it is Universal Studios. They do have a lot of, oh, that was lightning and thunder. They do have a lot of good service and a lot of offerings. They've really stepped it up in the last few years. And now in the lower right-hand quadrant is Six Flags Great America. They do have relatively good brand recognition. However, not everybody does know about them. So, and they tend to have mediocre, as it were, customer service. And directly below that is Cedar Fair, which before today, yesterday, I did not even hear of them. But that doesn't say they're not popular, yet all the research I found did not have them favorable. So those are the 3 top competitors as far as parks go for Walt Disney Company. They're doing pretty well, Walt Disney is. Now we move to the Walt Disney Company SWOT analysis. I'm pretty sure that everyone in this class has done at least a half a dozen SWOT analysis, even if you're just starting out. It's a very good starting point for discovering what your company is good at, what they're not good at, the opportunities in the market, and the threats from competition and other sources. So for Walt Disney, they have quite a few strengths going for them. They have reliability. They have a large cash flow, big market share. They have strong negotiating skills, and they have a very professional team. They've been doing this for years, decades, in fact. So they're pretty good at their craft. And they have high brand profile. Now, for their weaknesses, though, they have a very high attrition rate, and that is mostly in the parks. And well, they have some stores, but the stores don't have nearly as high a nutrition rate as the parks do. They also have poor financial planning going against them. They are vulnerable to competitors, and that's mainly for knockoffs and copying and copyright infringement against them. And they have insufficient product demand at times. Now, it really depends on the segment, the specific segment you're looking at. They have so many different product lines and are in so many markets, but overall their product demand is so saturated in the market that there isn't let's drop everything and run out and buy this mentality at this point. So moving to the opportunities section, they do incorporate the best talent. So best talent is worth the investment, right? That costs a lot of money. They also have high marketing skills for great opportunity, and they have core competencies, tried and true methods that they have going for them as an opportunity. Now over to the threats. They have there is better products and technology out there. Things are evolving. Startups, other companies, putting a lot of effort and energy and resources into getting better products out there. They also, they are global, but they have kind of an isolation in America. Again, they are global, but they do tend to focus mostly, as far as products go, in America overall. And I have to say it a third time, they are global, and they do have quite a bit out there globally. Singapore and many countries, forgive me. And the third threat is high expense toll. They do have a lot of movement in and out of countries, so there's a lot going against them that way. And now for the fun one, the quantitative strategic planning matrix for Walt Disney Company. This particular chart calls out information from the external factor evaluation, SWOT analysis, and also the internal factor evaluation. And then places them in specific orders. We add weight to each of the components, and then we take two, you could take three, but here we took two different scenarios for strategy, for growth, and really put them side by side to see which exactly would be the best way to go. This is an amazing tool because it really gives a lot of detail and factors to consider. I'll move myself out of the way so you can see more information here. So what we do with this is we first take the external factor evaluation, and then we take the internal factor evaluation, and we take all the information from the SWOT analysis in the key factors, and we add weight to them, to each section, each half I should say. And then once we have that done, we put our two different strategic alternatives. Here we have acquiring competitors, and the other option for strategy is expand internally. Then we take that information and determine the attractiveness scores, which is AS right there, and that's defined as numerical values that indicate the relative attractiveness of each strategy according to the textbook. So The scores are as follows. If you see a 1, that means somewhat attractive. Actually, not attractive. 2 is somewhat attractive. 3 is reasonably attractive. And 4 is, pretty much head-on, highly attractive. If you see a dash, that is because in one or both columns, it didn't even get a score. Now, if the interesting thing about this chart is if one of your strategies doesn't even make it numerically, then none of them make it numerically. So that's quite interesting as far as, hey, I thought that this particular strategy would rank higher, but not according to this. So we break it down through the opportunities, the threats, the strengths and the weaknesses within each, the option number 1 for acquiring competitors and option 2 for expanding internally. And here, after all the math done, which was the super fun part, we come up with a weighted total. And so here, option number 1 had a 4.52, and expanding internally, option 2 came in at 3.87. So in this scenario, acquiring competitors is the best way to go for Walt Disney. Now, that's what they're doing, and they're doing it very well. They've acquired many different things, from Marvel to Lucasfilm, and all the markets involved with those are all the different segments, from movies to merchandise to pretty much everything. So Disney is very good at this, and we see it pretty much everywhere we look.
Now for the most important part of our analysis here, of course our goal is to come up with strategies and recommendations for the Walt Disney Company. So we have 3 recommendations here, the first of which is actually for Disney to continue to maintain its current strategy of having a multi-segment market. Of course it caters to, it has a little bit of something for everybody. Its main focus is on family. Something that I've noticed struggling with, and as we kind of could see from our internal and external factor matrices, it is a little bit of a challenge catering to some of the older crowd, especially the baby boomers. Millennials, not so much. There's still that nostalgia there for a lot of the 90s Disney films, but for the baby boomers, those are the ones they're paying, and it's important for them to be able to enjoy their time while at the different Disney parks, or even seeing Disney movies. So at the theme parks in particular, I think the biggest thing is to have different retail outlets that cater more towards adults. So maybe home decor section. While the kids are shopping for toys, the adults can go shop for different things to decorate around the house. There could be more upscale restaurants, possibly alcoholic beverages. I know that Disney is trying to maintain as family-friendly environment as possible, but maybe just something with light alcoholic content or more ritzier drinks that are alcohol-free, but that would be more towards adult liking. And then, of course, having more adult clothing and apparel, especially at their Disney stores. This doesn't just apply to their theme parks, but also their retail outlets throughout the U.S. Even in Wisconsin, there's a couple Disney stores, and they more or less have younger children clothing, not so much adults. I think if they were to offer more, try to be a little bit more inclusive of a particular group, it would be a lot more profitable. One of the biggest weaknesses that I'm noticing here, especially from our SWOT analysis and internal factor matrix that we did, the products and services that Disney offers are a little bit pricey. A lot of people dream of going to Disney World, and it doesn't always work out that way, just because of how costly it can be, in addition to flying and other expenses that people encounter along the way. The thing here, we would definitely recommend lowering the pricing of the products and services. Right now the cost of a Magic Kingdom ticket is about $150. Maybe instead of $150, make it $100, and make the other theme park pricing, $80 instead of $100. There's also other ways to be cushion that expense, offer promotions. If people stay a certain day, maybe they could get so much off of their ticket next day. They do have different pricing packages if people stay at the resorts, but maybe they could offer more promotions just on go-to camps, like Six Flags does, or buying your ticket before a certain month, just to kind of bring more people into the park. Obviously, lower pricing typically leads to a greater crowd, and more people in the park means people are going to buy more food, they're going to buy more retail purchases, so that just kind of helps everybody all around. Another thing to do is maybe just not have a park fee. Right now you do have to pay for parking and get into the actual theme park, so just eliminate that fee altogether. Ultimately, just offer better package deals. I think this would definitely help absorb some of the costs. Right now I think a package is about $300 for like a 5-day pass. Try to incorporate that a little bit better. If people are staying at resorts, that alone they're investing money into, so maybe just lower the cost a little bit of the theme park resorts, or include some kind of food purchase in there, or free retail items, something to attract people to the to use those services. And then last but not least, we highly recommend increasing online presence. Right now, just kind of based on our different interests that we did earlier, we could definitely afford more competitors. Right now we have Universal Studios, which is run by Comcast. We've got all the networking competitors, theme park competitors, retail competitors, but we're really not utilizing social media as much as we could be. If you go online, there's the online resource for booking resorts and planning vacations, but there's really no excessive use of using stories. And I think we think this would be a fantastic way just to reach younger crowds, especially millennials who are using mobile phones and social media a lot more, and some of the more younger generations. And it's just going to compete with those companies who are already making use of the online tools, not just here, but internationally. So we highly recommend using strategies. We think this would definitely boost company scores, actually, for both internal and external factors, but especially internal factors. Just help them maximize their strengths and minimize some of those weaknesses. So this is what we recommend moving forward.
First, I'd like to take a look at the historical financial statements for Disney. Taking a look first here at the balance sheet. There's a lot of stuff here and a lot of data, and it's all useful, but I just like to focus on a few key points. Initially, I just like to focus on the current assets. We're looking from 2016 to 2017, we see a slight decline. And looking at total assets, again, that same reflection there in the totals there, we're seeing a slight decline in total assets. Then we're also going to take a look at current liabilities. You're seeing an increase in our current liabilities from 2016 to 2017. And then you're also going to take a look here at our total debt, again reflecting the same kind of pattern, an increase in the total debt as well. So that is going to reflect later in our liquidity ratios, and it's important to notice that we're having a decrease in assets and an increase in debt, because that will have an effect on our current and quick liquidity ratios. For the income statement, looking mainly at the sales, you can see it's been pretty consistent. If you're looking at just 2016 and 2017, not a whole lot of change there. Gross margin is another one that we want to look at. So based on their total income and sales, we are looking and seeing that there is consistency there as well from 2016 to 2017, only a variance of a very small amount. And then for the earnings before income taxed, that is the total amount that we are showing for their income before taxes come out of it. Fairly self-explanatory, but you see the point. From 2016 to 2017, there's a slight decrease in that as well. Overall net income from 2016 to 2017, also a slight decrease. Now for the income statement, I pulled over the historical for 2016 and 2017, but I've also got up on there now the 2018. So again, focusing on our main points here. For the income statement, it looks as though that there is continuing to be a downward trend. Now, there wasn't a whole lot of variance for the sales in 2016 to 2017, but now we're starting to see a little bit higher of a decrease. Now, that doesn't look like a whole lot, but in reality, that's $2 million that's gone down. So in the overall grand scheme of things, that does have an effect. Gross margin is a big decrease, going from 46% in 2016 to 45% in 2017, then all the way down to 38.8%. And that is actually a total decrease of 16.5% between the totals there. and that has a large effect overall. But this is where it gets kind of interesting. If you look at the net income, I'm going to skip the EBIT here for a second, but if you look at the net income, look at 2016 and 2017, and then look at 2018. Their total net income has increased by 23.8%. Excuse me, 28.3%. And that has a huge effect overall. Even though we're showing some downtrending numbers, their overall net income has increased. So this just means they're making more money, but they're not making as much off of the total that they are earning. So that's kind of interesting. We'll look at again how that affects the overall business later. Then touching again on EBIT, you see a slight increase in earnings before income tax, and that's reflected again in the total for the net income. So another kind of interesting point there, it looks as though they maybe had some other debts that they were able to use to decrease the amounts that they owed for taxes. So they're going to see that their debt's going to go up, and that means that they're paying more interest, which is deductible in their taxes. So that has an effect on things as well. Now for the balance sheet, again, pulling over the previous 2016 and 2017 from the historical, and then looking at 2018. If we look at the total assets, it's going to continue to be in this downtrend. We see in 2016 and 2017 a little bit of decrease, and then in 2018 it drops off even more, about at a pace of 3 million a year is what it's decreasing. And then I really just want to focus on the total debt here. If we're looking at the total debt, it's going to be from 2016 to 2017, looks like it is increasing, and then it tails back off in 2018. But looking at the EBIT on the income statement, you're going to see a reflection in 2018's net income, basically because they're able to deduct more on their taxes because of the increase in debt from 2017. So that affects everything as you kind of go forward here, but it's kind of interesting to see how it all works together. For earnings per share, I was able to find a nice layout here from macrotrends.net showing the quarterly earnings per share and the annual earnings per share for 2016 through 2018. And it looks as though there is a big difference from 2017 and 2018. You're seeing that 46.92% increase from 2017. So I mean, that kind of goes along and is in line with what we were looking at for the net income and for 2017 through 2018. Saw a big jump there. So it makes sense then that the earnings per share increased as well. The financial ratios analysis, I'm going to be focusing on key aspects from the liquidity ratios, leverage ratios, activity ratios, profitability ratios, and then growth ratios. All right, now we are at the liquidity ratios, and I had referenced earlier how the liabilities and assets are going to affect what we're seeing here. And essentially what this is saying is for the liquidity ratios, this is how quickly they could turn assets that they have into cash that would be able to pay off their debt. Now, you want to be close to 1. The closer you are to 1, the better it is. And that's just the way this ratio kind of works. 1 means that you're closer to in a ratio being at 100%. So looks like they'd be able to pay off roughly maybe 30% of their debt combined between their current and their quick liquidity ratios. So that's not a great liquidity ratio. As a shareholder, you want to be looking for something that's a little closer to 1. That way they'd be able to, say the company goes under, they'd be able to pay out what they owe to their shareholders. So that's kind of why you look at this ratio in the first place. As somebody who's an asset manager or a financial manager, that's what you're going to be paying attention to if you're looking at the liquidity ratio. For leverage ratios, Again, all four of these can be useful. I'd like to focus on really just one, and that's the debt to total assets ratio. Similar to the liquidity ratio, the closer you are to one, the better. That just means that really simply, they have more debt than they have assets. Now, that doesn't mean that they aren't going to be a profitable company and that they aren't going to be able to make money. Part of the reason why companies have debt is because banks and lenders have seen that they're a profitable business and that they'll be able to continue to generate revenue and pay back the debts. As to what a healthy debt to total asset ratio is, really depends on the company. Disney stays pretty close to around 50% debt to total assets. Um, Honestly, what you're looking for here is consistency because they do continue to be a profitable business. And what you want to see then is you want to see them be able to maintain that strategy. And so it looks as though it fluctuates a bit from year to year, looking from 2016 to 2018. However, again, staying consistently around 0.5% is going to be key for them. Excuse me, I said 0.5%. I mean 50%. But that's how it's reflected in the ratio form. And again, these other three that are on here are useful, but really just wanted to focus on the debt to total asset ratio. For activity ratios, inventory turnover, fixed assets turnover, and total assets turnover. Really kind of just taking a snapshot here of any products that they're selling. How quickly are they able to get them off the shelf? It looks as though there's high demand for their products year over year, so they don't really have too much of a problem keeping them off the shelf. And for inventory turnover, we're looking at pretty consistent numbers here, all within kind of a standard deviation of about 1 to 2. And again, this is kind of one of those things where you're just looking for consistency. Are they able to stick to their model? Are they able to continuously have good inventory turnover? So, and looking at the total assets turnover, you're seeing even more consistency, even no change at all from 2017 to 2018, which means that products are continuing to come off the shelf, which is what you want to see. For profitability ratios, I'd really like to focus on gross profit margin and net profit margin. For gross profit margin, you're seeing a slight decrease again from 2016 to 2017, and then a larger drop off from 2017 to 2018. And for net profit margin, you're seeing 2016 and 2017 is pretty consistent, and then looking at 2018, you're seeing an increase. Now, what that's really telling us is they're either spending more money on their projects and their products, and they are not selling them for more, so that's cutting into their gross margin, or it means that they are spending more on their products, but they're also selling them for cheaper, which means that their net profit margin will go up because they're selling to more people, because more people are going to buy their products if they're cheaper. So you're seeing kind of a push and pull of these numbers here. You know, debt and equity have an effect on each other. Gross profit margin and net profit margin have an effect on each other. And it all kind of balances together. And for the most part, you are looking for that consistency. But overall, it looks as though that they are projecting growth for net profit margin, and hopefully they can get gross profit margin to go up in the long run as well. But the old saying, you gotta spend money before you make money, holds true in many cases, and in this case it looks as though it's holding true for Disney. Looking at the growth ratios, just looking at a snapshot here of 2017 and 2018, overall growth from 2017 for sales is 0.9% and 2018 is 3.19%. Net income is for overall for 2017 4.53%, and then for 2018 28.32%. And that is reflective of that big increase that we saw between 2017 and 2018 for net income. Dividends per share for 2017 was around $84 cents, and then for 2018 it was 88 cents. For my projections for the financial factors, for total debt, I'm projecting that they're going to be around $44 million for total asset projection, $88 million. Gross margin projection, it'll be around 35.13%. Net income projection is around 16 million. The liquidity projection is going to be 2.79, excuse me, 0.279, and liquidity projection is going to be 0.122. The assumptions that my projections were based upon, this was all based off of average change overall for the years that we were looking at, 2016 through 2018. That's kind of the best predictor when it comes to looking at financials, is looking at the historical performance of the statistics. So total debt projection, it's a negative 0.5 change, so it's going to decrease. Total asset projection, negative 3.45%, so another decrease. Gross margin, negative 9.45, so another decrease. However, then making up for that, that net income projection is going to be 23.8% increase. Current liquidity projection is 2.5% increase, and the quick liquidity projection is 2% increase. So those last three are good factors. Those first three, yeah, kind of negative factors, but again, overall, you're hoping to make it out in the end.